Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to a RPG horror story episode of Curmudgeons and Dragons. My name is Jason Portizo. Who's in the room with me today?
I'm Jim Crocker.
I'm Giggles McGee.
I am Giggles McGee Jr.
Oh, super glad I left you guys.
The whole family's here.
All I asked you to do was say your own name. God, I hate this show.
You know he can't follow directions at all.
That one's Greg Genovis, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah, no one who's still listening would just immediately turn the show off.
No, I'm done with
like,
this
nah,
for the day.
Giggles, nah, fuck that Giggle shit. Jim, make me hate my life more, please.
Yeah, off mic before, Jason was like, why can't we get any of our friends to listen to this show? And I think we just had a demonstration of exactly what the problem is. So, but I've got a horror story that is one of those horror stories that is too good to fact check because it ends up like wrapped in a nice little bow. But I really liked it. Bows. So I'm going to go ahead and describe this also because I have a particular investment myself in like being kind to new players and like helping them learn the game and being cool to them. And that is a story where none of that happens.
Oh,
so
no.
A little bit of a preview. So here we go. So, this comes to us from Redditor U Drebble2. And this, I've been sitting on this one for a month because I like it so much that I really wanted to share it. So here we go. So my first time playing D&D. Oh, actually, you know what? I should read the title. You've never heard of D&D? That's okay. Here's a PHB. We expect you to know everything by game time tomorrow.
No.
That's
I'm already
the title.
stressed.
That's the title of this thread. So here we go. So let's just jump right into it.
Not ready for this.
So my first time playing D&D, a friend at work asked me if I wanted to play, and my response was, "What's D&D?" See, now, like, if I heard that, I'd be like, yes. So he explained the concept and had me come over on Saturday to roll a character for a Sunday game that he would DM. On Saturday, I show up rolling a monk. He also loaned me a 3.5 PHP. So this is 3.5. This is not 5th edition. So just keep that in mind. So I could So I could familiarize myself with how the game works that night and be ready for the game the next day. I show up for the game on Sunday and am treated like I'm a shitty veteran player. I get heavy sighs and insulted for not having actions ready on my turn and not understanding how combat works, and was told that it was unacceptable that I had to borrow dice instead of bringing my own. I explained that it was my first time playing, and the response I got was that I had been given the PHB the night before, so I should know what I'm doing if I had bothered to read it. Also, I couldn't ask anything out of character at all. There was no system for out-of-character conversation. Keeping in mind that I had only learned of the existence of D&D like 3 days prior to this. So asking questions like, what is a bugbear? Or which dice do I roll for persuasion? I would get in-character responses to those questions like, you're a monk and you don't know what a bugbear is? What kind of shit monastery did you train at anyway? And why would you play with dice right now when we are trying to talk to the king? So this is where I now cut out a whole paragraph where he talks about being forced to take a shitty cursed magic item that he had to use instead of his actual monk martial arts. So we'll just take that as read. So that's session one. At the end of session one, we have just enough XP to level up. We level up our characters and leave. I see him at work the next week and tell him, I don't think D&D is for me. His response was that everyone thought I did great for my first time playing, and they were excited to have me come back and play again next weekend. Me, and this is in italics, surprised Pikachu face. So, like most stories on this sub, I go back, even though I shouldn't have. Yeah. At some point that week, the DM does something stupid at work. It was a very minor thing. I don't even remember what it was. But it was enough that me and a couple other guys joked with him about it. Again, it was nothing. And getting joked on for minor things like this was normal among us at work, him included, so it wasn't like he was being singled out. It was just normal workplace banter that he also takes part in when others screw up. So I show up for the game on Sunday. We sit down, and he asks me for my character sheet. I hand it over. He looks for about 30 seconds and says, take your dex down from an 18 to a 16, taking your +4 to a +3. Also subtract 500 XP, making you level 1 again. He hands me my character sheet back and watches me make the changes, also walking through taking my character back down to level 1, subtracting hit points, etc. After I finish, he looks me in the eye and says, maybe that will teach you not to run your mouth at work.
What
I'm going to let that sink in for a second.
Ooh. Oh,
what the fuck?
This isn't fun anymore, Jim.
I was already mad at like the hazing the new guy, but now it's like,
he was watching for my reaction, so I just shrugged and said, okay. I could tell he was pissed that I didn't get upset about him screwing with my character. I didn't care because it didn't even feel like my character at this point. It felt more like I was playing an NPC for him. Later that session, we ran into a ... something. That's how they wrote it.
Oh, I love something.
I don't remember what she was and couldn't ask what she was anyway. I just remember that she was evil, very powerful, and apparently so hot that we all wanted to do what she told us because of how hot and powerful she was. Anyway, when she first walked up, she asked a question.
So it was a bugbear.
I was going to say a Josie character, but you know.
Hey,
anyway,
same thing. Same thing. They're both goblins.
So anyway,
goblin you know.
But I digress. When she first walked up, she asked a question and I answered it. She ran up and smacked me because I dared to talk to her without her specifically addressing me. So I'm like, fuck it. I pull out my Tekakagi and strap it to my hand. The DM looks at me and says, no, you don't. She can kill you in one turn. Just sit there and shut up, and I'll tell you when you can do something.
What?
Shortly after, just sit there and shut up, and I'll tell you when you can do something, we took a break. I went out to my car and left.
Yeah.
Monday, he told me it was messed up that I just left like that, and me not being there screwed up his encounters, so I was kicked from the group. I responded by joking about his work screw up the week prior.
Get him.
I made copies of my monk character sheet, and any time he tried to joke me about work afterwards, I would just give him a copy of the character sheet and ask him which stats to reduce.
Amazing.
That's
amazing.
Beautiful. That is such a great response to somebody being such a piece of shit.
This actually got the attention of another coworker who I ended up playing D&D with after a lot of convincing and actually enjoying the game.
Love that happy ending.
Yay!
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, did they have a sexy female boss or something?
Not sure what it sounds like.
Ooh,
that it was like
do be
she's
feeling like an insert of someone he knows.
Yeah, for sure.
Or whatever. I don't know. I'm not gonna.
That's totally speculation.
Right. The succubus just happens to have OP's wife's name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, or like another player's girlfriend's name, more likely, given this guy and the way that goes.
Always a good time. Always.
Yeah. So, but like this is like that thing where like that category error of mistaking a new player for like a pledge to a frat or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like whatever you call like a a rookie Marine or something like that. That is a huge mistake and something that I see happen too often.
On top of like 3.5 is not super beginner friendly from my understanding. Like,
right.
You think?
Yeah.
I can only think because I've never tried.
There's the trope of like the bad guy who kicks a puppy just so you know he's evil.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The puppy kicking moment for me was not letting him borrow dice. Like that's just such like it just solidifies him as the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know.
Stupid.
I don't know a dice goblin who does not enthusiastically share their dice.
Yes, would you like to see my collection? They click and clap when you shake them.
I have friends who have more dice than I do, and I still like insist that they roll mine just because I like seeing mine be rolled.
Yeah.
Well, if nothing else, it's like, yeah, okay, you can have the unlucky ones I've banished, to the separate bag. Here you go. You can roll those.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Because like if you're weird about your dice, you almost certainly have like dice jail or something like that.
Oh, I have a separate sack, the timeout sack.
Timeout sack, yeah.
See? Exactly. You can roll my timeout dice. Rookie.
If you look on like anything like Etsy or any store that's selling like little D&D tchotchkes, one of the most popular things right now is the dice dunce chair.
Oh yeah,
sure, yeah,
with a little dunce cone. I love it.
Yeah. We'll see if we can find an affiliate link. We'll throw that in the show notes.
But like that's not just a terrible DM. That's a terrible table.
Yeah,
because nobody at the table was going to get.
And like the whole table was in on it.
Yeah.
Were they all people that worked together, or was it just the DM was somebody? I don't know if that was clear.
It's not 100% clear to me either from reading it that they were all from work. I mean, like the DM was definitely from work.
Right.
I think,
it's tough to get a read on that.
I think it's the DM's group of friends. That's think
what it
otherwise,
like,
the other coworker who had the good experience would probably either have been like, "Hey, this table is extremely serious," or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. I
just might have warned him.
The idea of turning D&D into a LARP space is not something to spring upon an unwary beginner. Like if that's what you do at your table, that's I guess fine. But you could just go LARP instead. Like you don't have to play D&D. Those could be separate entities. But what a way to make somebody's experience awful is to be like, oh, by the way, you can't ask any questions because you can only speak in character.
I'm sorry, just stuck in my head is the line, you don't know what a bugbear is. What kind of shit monastery did you go to?
God.
Yeah.
It's just like,
what monasteries do you
necessarily
have? Yeah.
teach you what a bugbear is? Like at the monastery, they taught me how to sweep the floor.
It's like, you think I took a vow of silence and locked myself in a cage for 6 months? I don't know what shit looks like.
Exactly.
It's just so foreign to me because every group I know, especially every DM I know, and I'm including myself, everyone I've met is just so willing and just excited when someone wants to play their first game with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a mitzvah.
That day when you finally convinced that person you couldn't crack to go play a game.
You're like, yes, come to the table.
I'm still working on my fiance. I will get her to play. She understands the jokes and the memes now. She'll send me memes and know why they're funny.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Oh, that's cute.
We're getting there.
It's progress. Just got to find the right theme. Just do it. But yeah, no, it's astonishing when it and in particular, like I said, I have that, my life's goal is to get more people to play it and new players to enjoy it. And, when I owned my store, that was the whole focus of D&D night. Literally to the point where we had some policies in place that really annoyed people that wanted to play extended campaigns and stuff like that. Like we reset every 3 months like clockwork back down to level 1 so that new players, so we could say, come in 3 weeks, you can start at first level and stuff like that. And this is baffling to me, this kind of behavior.
Yeah. It's just amazing how people want to gatekeep a hobby that's been around for 50 years. It's like, it doesn't last this long without new players coming in. You need that new blood. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you should be honored to be in charge of someone else's experience coming into this game.
Do you guys remember the movie Dinner for Schmucks?
Yeah.
This feels kind of like a Dinner for Schmucks, where the guy was like, yeah. Oh my God, come to this party that I'm having. And then everybody treats you like garbage. And you're just like, this is kind of awful.
Memorize
this. God, everybody loved you.
Mm-hmm. Memorize this complex book in one night and don't ridiculous. Have any fucking questions.
How long ago was this posted, Jim?
Oh, this is about a month ago, something like that. This is let me see.
I would love to reach out to the I'd love to reach out to the OP and see if his new game went any better. See if we can get a follow up to this. That's one of the worst I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're interested, there's extensive commentary on this and the OP responding back to folks, letting them know.
Yeah, well, we always have the links to these in the show notes. So I'm going to dig through the comments later. I invite listeners to do the same, and we'll talk about this.
The other thing that real quick I'm going to add here is that this makes a powerful case for session 0 is not just something that happens at the beginning of the campaign and then never again. When you have a new player come on, you can do worse than you don't need to do a whole one, but do a little half-hour breakout or something like that at the beginning where you say
a story so far.
Yeah, let's introduce you to everybody. Here's what's going on. Here's what you need to know. Let's take a second and give your character a little background tie-in to some of the other characters. And
introduction.
That's not just good for people that are just coming in. That's also good for refreshing all of the current players of what happened.
Yeah, the existing players should know who's about to join them. I mean, this has to be something. They got to be trolling this guy. There's no other. There's nothing else makes sense that they just wanted to.
Yeah,
and it says they were at work, so they're not teens that don't have jobs. These are something resembling adults. Mm-hmm. That should have some sort of social skill.
That sounds like they work an office job.
Did it say office job?
I didn't say office job specifically, but it has that sound.
That's the
it.
vibe.
Yeah.
I got like warehouse type of vibe out of it, like doing something stupid and razzing on each other.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Sure,
because
sure,
I've worked in a warehouse, and that's all we did. That's all we did was razz each other and screw up. That's all we ever did.
You run a forklift into the side of a pallet or something because it wasn't low enough or something like that. And yeah, exactly.
So without going too long into this, yes, that's exactly what we did. On the side of our forklift was those little dots that you use to like color code.
Okay. You got a tally going.
Sure.
He had a kill count, and this was my manager. I never got forklift certified. He had to do all that for. I was only supposed to be summer help, so he had a kill count on the side of his forklift, and there was one spot that was like duct tape wrapped around it. I'm like, what was that one? He's like, oh, that was a bad day.
Like swastikas down the side of your Spitfire or something like that. That's great.
Not quite that way. If only, first of all, but but that's a different podcast. So, Jim, that was I was going to say it's great, but that was kind of awful. So thank you for that.
It had a great ending.
How about entertaining?
It did have a great happy ending, and I actually am going to reach out to that OP and see if we can get a follow up on that.
Fantastic.
So that's it for this week's horror story. We got a couple more coming out that we have yet to record, and I don't know how awful they're going to be. So stick around and find out. I'm Jason. You can find me at Jason Portizo on Instagram and YouTube and all those things.
I'm Jim Crocker. You can find me at Jim Likes Games, just like it sounds, and that's on Facebook, the other thing with the bird, Twitter, and YouTube.
I'm Josie. You can also find me on the Bird app at Goblin Scratches.
I'm Greg Genovis, and do not perceive me online.
Perfect. Guys, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Curmudgeons and Dragons. Please share this with your favorite adventurers. Leave a review on Apple and follow us on social media. All links can be found at curmudgeonsanddragons.com. Practice safe adventuring, my friends.
This has been a JTP Audio podcast. Thanks for listening.